taking their time, for the citizens taking your time. As you know well, this is part of what makes our process work. So we do thank you for your participation. I'd remind you that the Chamber of Commerce is nonpartisan, so there's not an interest in one party or another or one candidate or another. Also, and this is particularly, I think, important for me as moderator, I see this as a forum. And by that, I see it as something that citizens can come to hear and candidates can be heard. It's not a debate like you're maybe used to seeing on television, where you will see an exchange between these folks that are up here, or an exchange where they will be taking questions from the audience. This is an opportunity for them to speak, but we'll use the questions that have been submitted on paper. And as you might expect, because there are more questions and more candidates than we all have time this evening, I'll try to collate the questions, put them together, and often consolidate them with others. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to present their statement. We have Mr. Danny Gordon this evening as timekeeper, and we thank him for that. He'll give you a 1-minute warning, and then when the 3 minutes are up, I will politely ask you to end. We will allow time for questions at the end. The questions, as you see from the form, are directed to the office, not to a particular candidate. That way each candidate for the office has an opportunity to respond. I'll follow the order that the candidates were listed on the flyer that we sent out. That simply makes it easy for me to keep up with who's going in what order. And a couple of other reminders. This evening's forum is being broadcast on WXBX 95.3. So I'd ask you to stand when you're speaking and speak into these microphones so that not only the audience is able to hear, but the folks in the community that are listening on the radio. Because it's being broadcast on the radio, I'd ask you to refrain from applause because of it cutting out the noise and making it difficult to hear what the candidates may have to say. And also, again, I guess I see all of you, since I represent the chamber, I see all of you here as guests. So to be polite and be considerate of one another and listen. Having said all of that, and since I'm probably taking more than the candidates' 3 minutes that they get, I'll remind you quickly of who is invited this evening. For Senate District 19, Ralph Smith and Brandon Bell. For Senate District 40 is John Lammy and Bill Carrico. For House of Delegates was Ann B. Crockett-Stark. For Commissioner of Revenue is Faye Barker and Robert Kegley. For Commonwealth's Attorney is Gerald Mays. For Treasurer is Sam Crockett. For Sheriff is Doug King. For Board of Supervisors at Large is Tim Reeves, Freddie Rosenbaum, Bucky Sherritt. For Board of Supervisors West Withville is Artie Hall and Mary Castle. Board of Supervisors Fort Chiswell is Buford Bailey, Joe Hale. Board of Supervisors Speedwell is Amanda Bentley and Gene Horney. School Board at Large, Lennon Counts, Deborah Krieger, Kay Fleming. School Board West Withville is David Martin. School Board Fort Chiswell is Walter White. And School Board Speedwell is Charles Fry. Mr. Crockett and Mr. King have both said that since they are unopposed and in the interest of time, they would not present a statement. And I also understand that Sheriff King is with one of his deputies who was injured today, so if you will remember them. We'll begin first with the statewide or the region-wide candidates. First for Senate is Ralph Smith, who I don't believe is with us this evening. Brandon Bell, who is also not with us. I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong chair.
Bill Carrico will me tonight. I'm not big enough.
Mr. Bell, you will come forward.
Thank you very much, and I'm kind of whisking in. My name is Brandon Bell, and I'm an independent candidate for the state senate. I'd like to share a few minutes with you. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stay with you into the evening. There's another event, another forum tonight just up the road in Montgomery County. See, when they redrew all these lines in the state senate, they were very crafty about making sure they could make them as big as possible. So sometimes I feel like I'm driving around the state of Montana, getting all the way from Bedford through Franklin County, through Roanoke County where I live, Salem, Montgomery, Floyd, Wythe, and Carroll. So it's a lot to cover. But I did want to share a couple of thoughts with you. The campaigns are getting down very late. A lot of you I have not been able to meet. That's unfortunate. I got into this race in August when I realized that there Didn't look like there was going to be any competition for my opponent, and I felt like there needed to be competition. There needed to be debate and discussion. I've made it a point to go to every forum and debate and discussion that I could possibly manage to get to in the 3 minutes that I've been involved in this campaign, and I continue to do that. We've got just a few more days to continue to do everything we can to communicate to the voters what's involved. I carry forward a jobs idea, a jobs focus. I've got a 4-point plan. I can't get into all of those tonight, but I want to help entrepreneurs create jobs. I want to allow entrepreneurs not to have to worry about state and local taxes for the first 3 years that they start a business. I think that's important. I think we need to encourage people to take a chance. Maybe they've been laid off. Maybe they've got a little extra money and they want to start that business. Start it. Get it going. Help our economy. Help us grow. Thank you all. I'm exactly sure how my time's going. I'm an independent candidate. If you elect me, I will go to Richmond and I will tell both sides where they're wrong. They need to sit down in the middle and discuss the problems and solve some of these problems. Not sit and argue, not what they're doing in Washington, and just argue back and forth. I'm going to be someone to say, we're going to sit down, we're going to solve them, and we're going to take these solutions back to our constituents. So I'm running for you. I'm running to represent you, not those bosses. Thank you for allowing me some time to be here. I'm going to whisk on out of here, and
If you would like, we'll have a question or two for you.
that's fine, sure, if you'd like to.
I'll let a couple of these other folks go, and then it will be for the state office.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
And I also understand that I owe Mr. Dickey Pack an apology because we left him off the list, and that's for school board at large, so we do apologize. The next candidate is Mr. Lammy.
Good evening. I'm John Lammy. I am an attorney. I've been practicing law 31 years in Southwest Virginia. I'm based out of Abingdon, but we also have an office here in Withfield at the Big Pencil. We rent from the Roots there. I have, for the last 16 years, been managing our law practice. I've raised 2 kids in Southwest Virginia, and my wife and I, of 33 years, think it's the greatest place in the world to live. And I enjoy Wythe County, and we've been very successful here. I know how to create jobs because I went from moving here in a U-Haul trailer to running a law firm now. We have 18 employees in 4 different counties in Southwest Virginia. And as such, the biggest problem I see for business today and for our jobs in this area are unfunded mandates that come down from the state. They force our supervisors to have to make hard decisions concerning what that we do with and do without. And it also puts pressure on them about raising taxes, our property taxes, our other professional fees, and those kinds of taxes that we have to face. It makes it very difficult for those. Those are the kinds of taxes that hurt me. And I think that if we're going to have a climate in which we can produce jobs and go forward in Southwest Virginia, we have to do everything we can as a group in Southwest Virginia, as the legislators, to make sure that the state does fund those mandates and that we can support our budgets out here fully and not have to put more burden on the small business owners. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Crockett-Stark.
Oh, she'll be ringing that bell before I get up here. Afraid of that. I'm Annie B. Crockett-Stark. I was born and raised here. My people came here in the 1740s. So I will just tell you that it's often hard to distinguish between hard knocks of life and opportunity. John F. Kennedy used to tell his cabinet, if you use Chinese for the word crisis, one character means danger and the other means opportunity. In this past biennium, I think we have found ourselves in a position to drastically live with the dangers of unintended consequences and the opportunity to set new parameters to meet those changes. We always balance our budget at the state. We must do so by law. It was hard to do this last biennium. As you know, we cut $4.5 billion out of the budget. We also eliminated $66.8 billion in authorized debt. We added $114 million back to the rainy day fund and included $40 million in job-creating economic development funds. We have invested $32.7 million into transportation and $11 million into sheriff's offices. In Wythe County, We have taken part of the $12.6 billion for education and gave $21,509,000 back to Wythe County in education. This year, all 140 of us run for re-election, and I believe our main issues this year, other than the budget, will be energy resources and needs, education, transportation, and health care. I will be sending out surveys electronically this month to give you all opportunity to tell me what you think we should be working on and how we should be doing it. If you would like to be on our survey, my aide, John Matthews, has brochures with our address. Send us your email and you'll be on it. We now have over 8 million people in Virginia, and I have now 80,554 voters. If nobody gets married, leaves, dies, or has a baby. It's up 10,000. My new district includes all of Wythe County, all of Carroll, and most of Smith. I'm glad to be home. May the good Lord bless you with sun and rain, and may you sleep tonight and wake up sane. And while you're in that sound mind, may I ask for your vote on November the 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. For the two Senate and House of Delegates candidates, questions grouped together from the audience, and I'll allow you to respond to these together, and you can devote the time you choose to them, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. Knowing that as a rural area funding, state funding for schools and roads is important to us, what's your position on maintaining that funding, and how do you propose to allow us perhaps access to greater funding? And a relatively specific question, but what is your position on the changes in the Virginia retirement system for the state employees? First would be Brandon Bell.
Well, first of all, I think we've been through some tough times in Virginia. Those that have gone before, they've done a pretty good job of keeping us out of some of the troubles as our state relative to Illinois and California, but we've had some struggles. The state has had to pinch some pennies and cut back, but now we've gotten to the point where some of those cuts we're facing looking at the bone. And I'm, for one, going to take my service down to Richmond and say we can't go any further in the directions we've been headed. However, what we do face are some more serious issues, I think, relative to our economics. What I've fought for, I had served two terms in the state senate, not obviously in this area, in the 21st, 22nd district, and in my previous times in service, one of the things we battled was changes to things like the standards formulas of how education funding flowed down to our state. Frankly, it benefits us slightly. But we've lost representation. The very fact that these districts are bigger, there are more people representing Northern Virginia, battles will continue along those lines. Does that cut me off? I didn't get into the second one.
That's good.
Oh, just 1 minute.
I'm sorry.
The things that I think we have to be concerned about are some of those battles. You need people that are going to go to Richmond and fight for our region, fight for the needs that we have, because they're building up more votes. And you look for ways to cross over and say, where do you need help? In Northern Virginia, you need help in transportation. We need help in education. We need help in preserving the needs that we have in our area. As far as the Virginia retirement system, I'm very familiar with that. I'm a wealth manager. I help counsel clients relative to their pension and to those needs, and I would not be in favor of moving away from the defined pension program that it currently exists and moving to a defined contribution plan for those current employees. Now, long term, 10 years out, for future employees coming in, we're going to have to look at that program to make sure it's stable. But I would not support any changes to. We made a promise to our employees, made a promise to those that are currently retired, and we cannot renege on that promise. So I would go down there and deliver on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lammy.
Thank you. Our region does not have the resources that we have in the other parts of the state. And when there are severe cuts in education and other areas like that, we suffer dramatically in this area. In the last biennium, there was a $620 million education cut from the House. The Senate replaced that with $400 million in a compromise. That kind of cut hurts us because we cannot and we do not have the tax base that we can call upon like they do up in Northern Virginia and elsewhere. And our kids and our public deserves the opportunities that they have elsewhere in the state. We have to stick together. And that puts too much pressure on small businesses and on our supervisors as what they do with balancing budgets and making things work on the county level. And we continually have to face the fear that are they going to reassess us and tax us more, and we cannot let that happen. It's a matter of priority, and my priorities are transportation, my priorities are education. And we need to focus in the legislature as a group together to make sure that we get full funding for that, because otherwise our money goes elsewhere in a sense. We lose that money, and we suffer. In regard to the VRS, I've been attorney for 31 years. Our firm represents individuals trying to get disabilities and trying to get benefits. We've done that for a long time. I've litigated heavily with VRS for teachers, public employees, and it disturbs me what's going on with the VRS in the areas that I've been litigating in. I think the attitude from statewide in regard to the VRS is disturbing, and our public servants deserve better. Our teachers deserve better. They make a deal. They work for us. They work for us for limited income and less opportunity we have out here in private business. And we need to pay off that promise by making sure we have a secure VRS. And we do not need to turn to a plan that privatizes something that's been solid for years. And we don't need to be borrowing from it either. We need to make sure that that money stays solid and is protected. We don't need to get into something that happens on the federal level with Social Security. You know, we all know how Social Security money has been borrowed for years. We don't need that to happen again. So I'm all for that, staying in solid and conservative and keeping it intact for our public employees. Thank you.
Next, Delegate Crockett Stark.
I will speak first of VRS. I stood on my feet for 32 years. They grew 1.5 sizes. I earned it and I want it the way it is. And I will fight for it. I will tell you that a lot of young men and women that I have talked to in their 20s and 30s have told me they like the new method, the contribution method. And I guess I agree with Brandon on that for right now, for those people that are in it and that have earned it, I want it to stay as it is. I do think that we will have to look at what our future generations want. We are in change and we will have to adjust as we go. So I think that's something we will have to look at and look at very carefully. On transportation, I think the governor has put over $12 billion into it this year, and we are working with ARRA funds. We have 22,000 bridges in Virginia, many of them structurally damaged, and we have worked very, very hard in the last year and a half to get those bridges back into working order. And one of the things I sat down and talked with the governor privately about was the funding should go statewide and not stay in Northern Virginia. He has made the effort, and we're working. You can't get through Christiansburg, as you know, for the blasting. But we are making an effort on our interstates for new construction. You know, by law, we must maintain the roads that we build, and so maintenance must be there. I have fussed and pushed and written a letter after my verbal chit-chat to ask for secondary roads in the 6-year plan to be refunded. We rural counties cannot live without the 6-year plan. They moved it to a tier system. It hurt us greatly. They need to refund it. I have told the governor that within the last month and sent him a letter to reinforce it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with local candidates. First for Commissioner of Revenue, Faye Barker.
Hello, I'm Faye Barker. First, I would like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity to speak this evening. I am running for the office of the Commissioner of Revenue. I am very familiar with the office because I have worked there for 38 years. The Commissioner of Revenue is one of the 5 constitutional offices that our founding fathers established in the state constitution. These offices provide the checks and balances in our government to prevent the potential of fraud in taxpayers' money. I started working in the Commissioner's office with the late Blair L. Witt in 1978, and at his retirement, I continued to work there with Mary Sis Castle, who worked for 27 years as Deputy Commissioner of Revenue. I completed continuing education through the University of Virginia through Weldon Cooper Center, and became a certified master deputy commissioner. These classes have aided in my professional development. This has been very useful in my work in the Commissioner's office, helping me to better understand my work and understand the office duties, and help me to better serve the citizens of Wythe County. I also served as Vice President of the Southwest Virginia Deputies Association. I am currently not working in the office. I had planned to run for the office in this year's election and felt it better to resign from my position in February due to the friction that developed in the office upon my announcement that I was going to run. This is the only reason I left. I have experience over the years. I have worked in every aspect of the office, including state taxes, personal property, reassessment, land use, age credit, mapping, mills tax, but mostly I've taken care of the real estate. That is reading the deeds and the wills and making land transfers, putting values on subdivided land in between reassessments. I have worked with several reassessment firms over the years, and I have come to understand reassessment, which is very important because it affects all of our checkbooks. I have grown with the office as it transitions from doing everything by hand to the computer age, which we are now in. Computers make the job somewhat easier, but our main focus must be the service we provide the citizens of Wythe County, and I will put 100% of my career time in being the best Commissioner of the Revenue. I will give you the citizens genuine service and respect. In summary, my experience in all work areas and the relationships I have built through the years with the county offices, and most importantly, the citizens of Wythe County, I can give you assurance that I am capable, I am efficient, I am knowledgeable, and willing to continue updating my skills to serve you better. I am the best candidate for this office, and we appreciate your vote and support on November the 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. Also for Commissioner of Revenue, Robert Kegley.
Don't leave now, Annie B.
I have a commitment in Smith County, but I'll listen to you first.
Thank you, I appreciate that. It's fantastic to look out and see so many citizens engaged in this election process. And my hat's off to you all. My thanks to the Chamber of Commerce and the Board of Directors and staff for the continued commitment for scheduling this forum for candidates, and my deepest appreciation to the many citizens, friends, and family who have supported my efforts. I'm Robert Kegley, and I'm hard at work to earn your vote for the next Commissioner of Revenue. I'm working hard, full-time, in the office of the Commissioner of Revenue, where I've performed and perform a multitude of duties, from researching real estate records, maps and deeds, to preparation of state income taxes, desk audits of personal property, field audits of business personal property, and the clarification for taxpayers of what seems and so often turns out to be so much red tape. I take all these responsibilities very seriously, and I intend to continue to employ every resource available to a constitutional officer for the office to work as efficiently as possible. I will draw on my education, which includes my college degree, to make informed decisions. I will draw from my experience as leader of numerous private organizations in the community, where I've seen the benefits and pitfalls of what works and what doesn't work in managing an organization. I will also draw on my business experience as a member of an award-winning management team for the benefit of the office. I will work with the Treasurer's Office to ensure that the taxpayers' assessments are fair and accurate, and the collection of the tax is not made out of error. And I plan to listen to the taxpayers of Wythe County for the ideas that will make stronger the Office of Commissioner of the Revenue. The current Commissioner of the Revenue, Sis Castle, will be voting for me, and I am proud of her endorsement of my candidacy. She has worked with both me and my opponent, and I feel her support for me to follow her 28 years of valuable leadership to be the strongest recommendation to you. Tonight, I ask for your vote, and I would be proud of your support as well. Thank you very much.
For Commonwealth's Attorney, Gerald May.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jerry Mabe. I'm your Commonwealth's attorney. I am born and bred Whitwell boy. Went to George Wood High School, went off to get educated at UVA and William & Mary School of Law, and came back here, started my own practice at Mabe & Harrell, and was partner there for 3 years, and then ultimately